But if you were to listen to the debate, and frankly how some of you went after this bill, you'd think that this thing was some Bolshevik plot.
My miners and the folks who are working and those who are unemployed are very concerned about some of your policies in these areas, cap and trade, an aggressive EPA, and the looming prospect of higher taxes. In our minds, these are job-killing policies.
The first thing that I want to address is the science of global warming as portrayed in the Vice President's film, An Inconvenient Truth. This is something that I think we absolutely have to get right. Even the mainstream media, Mr. Vice President, are now noticing that global warming science is uneven and evolving. We need to be deliberative and careful when we talk about so-called scientific facts.
The debate on global warming is over.
In your movie, you display a timeline of temperature and compare it to CO2 levels over a 650,000-year period as reconstructed from ice core samples. You indicate that this is conclusive proof of the link of increased CO2 emissions and global warming. A closer examination of these facts reveals something entirely different. I have an article from the Science magazine, which I will put into the record at the appropriate time, that explains historically a rise in CO2 concentrations did not precede a rise in temperatures, but actually lagged temperature by 200 to 1,000 years.
The planet has a fever. If your baby has a fever, you go to the doctor.
CO2 levels went up after the temperature rose. It appears that temperature appears to drive CO2, not vice versa. On this point, Mr. Vice President, you're not just off a little, you're totally wrong.
This guy's doing all kinds of crazy stuff that's going to destroy America.
Sometimes the
temperature goes up before the CO2 goes up.
Sometimes that has been true in the past. The opposite has also been true in the past.
Your suggestion of a carbon tax is something that would harm our competitiveness, raise costs to American families, export jobs, and actually do very little to improve our environment. Likewise, a Kyoto-style cap-and-trade system for CO2 will mainly increase the price of electricity while providing few, if any, environmental benefits.
I think that the committees should be under no illusion about what the scientific consensus is.
Some Bolshevik plot.
Well, the deal is this, Greg. We have tried and tried and tried to get a debate on global warming with scientists on the other side. Al Gore or any of the scientists behind him over at the UN IPCC. We'd love to have a debate with them, but they say, oh no, the debate is over.
Yeah.
Well, now there are 30,000 of us. We have 30,000 scientists, 9,000 PhDs, who have signed up to debunk global warming.
Folks are still skeptical in some cases about climate change in our politics and in Congress. The world's not skeptical about it.
When Jon Stewart, the bantam rooster of conventional wisdom, makes jokes about it, you know Climategate has reached critical mass. Said Stewart, poor Al Gore, global warming completely debunked, the very internet he invented. Stewart was half joking, but Climategate is no joke at all. The massive emails from the Climate Research Unit of East Anglia University, let loose by a hacker or a whistleblower, pulls back the curtain on a scene of pettiness, turf protection, manipulation, defiance of freedom of information, lost or destroyed data, and attempts to blacklist critics and skeptics of the global warming cause. Now, the CRU is not the only climate science advisory body, but it is one of the most influential and feeds directly into the UN panel on climate change. So let's hear no more talk of the science is settled, when it turns out some of the principal scientists behave as if they own the very question of global warming, when they seek to bar opposing research from peer-reviewed journals, to embargo journals they can't control, when they urge each other to delete damaging emails before freedom of information takes hold, when they talk of hiding the decline, when they actually speak of destroying the primary data, and when now we do learn that the primary data has been lost or destroyed. They've lost the raw data on which all the models, all the computer-generated forecasts, the graphs and projections are based. You wouldn't accept that at a grade 9 science fair.
This is some wild-eyed plot to impose huge government in every aspect of our lives.
This movement is deeper than a solar panel. Deeper than a solar panel. Don't stop there. Don't stop there. No, we're going to change the whole system. We're going to change the whole thing. We're not going to put a new battery in a broken system. We want a new system.
This guy's doing all kinds of crazy stuff that's going to destroy America.
And what are we doing instead? At Copenhagen, this December, weeks away, a treaty will be signed. Your president will sign it. Most of the third world countries will sign it because they think they're going to get money out of it. Most of the left-wing regimes around the world, like the European Union, will rubber stamp it. Virtually nobody won't sign it. I have read that treaty. And what it says is this, that a world government is going to be created. The word government actually appears as the first of three purposes of the new entity. The second purpose is the transfer of wealth from the countries of the West to third world countries in satisfaction of what is called coyly a climate debt, because we've been burning CO2 and they haven't, and we've been screwing up the climate. We haven't been screwing up the climate, but that's the line. And the third purpose of this new entity, this government, is enforcement. How many of you think that the word election or democracy or vote or ballot occurs anywhere in the 200 pages of that treaty? Quite right, it doesn't appear once. So at last, the communists who piled out of the Berlin Wall and into the environmental movement and took over Greenpeace, so that my friends who founded it left within a year because they'd captured it. Now the apotheosis is at hand. They are about to impose a communist world government on the world. You have a president who has very strong sympathies with that point of view. He's going to sign. He'll sign anything. He's a Nobel Peace Laureate. Of course he'll sign it. And the trouble is this. If that treaty is signed, your constitution says that it takes precedence over your constitution. And you can't resile from that treaty unless you get the agreement of all the other states parties. And because you'll be the biggest paying country, they're not going to let you out. So, thank you, America. You were the beacon of freedom for the world. It is a privilege merely to stand on this soil of freedom while it is still free. But in the next few weeks, unless you stop it, your president will sign your freedom, your democracy, and your prosperity away forever, and neither you nor any subsequent government you may elect will have any power whatsoever to take it back again.
We go through the gate's closed, we'll go over the fence is too high, we'll pole vault in. If that doesn't work, we'll parachute in.